China turns its back on Comrade Bob to embrace change in Zimbabwe. Resignation of Robert Mugabe greeted with relief in Beijing, which for years was autocratic leader's most powerful ally. Confirmation of Robert Mugabe's ouster prompted revelry on the streets of Harare. The Goblin has gone. Raved one. Thousands of miles away in Beijing, for years Mugabe's most powerful backer. There were no obvious signs of jubilation. China respects Mr. Mugabe's decision to resign, Foreign Ministry spokesman Liu Kang told reporters, praising his historic contribution to Zimbabwe's liberation. He remains a good friend of the Chinese people. But experts believe China's leaders will be both relieved and contented to see the back of Comrade Bob, a suspicion reinforced by the approving tone coverage of his demise has taken in the Communist Party-controlled press. We need change in our country, China's official news agency Xinhua, whose correspondence dispatches are expected, above all else, to reflect the party line, quoted one Zimbabwean teacher as saying of Mugabe's resignation. "We are very happy," another Zimbabwean told party mouthpiece The People's Daily. "Finally things will change." Ross Anthony, an expert in China-Africa relations from South Africa's Stellenbosch University, said that while Beijing had backed Mugabe since his days as a Marxist revolutionary in the 1970s, it had increasingly seen him as erratic, an embarrassment and a threat to Chinese investments. The case in point was Mugabe's controversial indigenization law, which required all foreign companies to be controlled by Zimbabweans and what was a particular blow to Chinese interests in its diamond industry. "I imagine there are quite a lot of officials in Beijing who will be happy to see Mugabe go," Anthony said. Since the curtains began to fall on Mugabe's 37-year reign last week, Beijing has done little to hide its view that its longtime ally was a difficult customer. In an article for Zimbabwe, a social media account run by The People's Daily, Zhang Weiwei, a former interpreter for Deng Xiaoping, recalled a touchy 1985 encounter between Mugabe and the Chinese leader. As Deng, the architect of China's economic opening, prepared to receive Mugabe in Beijing's Great Hall of the People, he complained about their last meeting, 4 years earlier. According to Zhang, Mugabe had used the audience to criticize Deng for supposedly rejecting Mao Zedong and his tumultuous cultural revolution. He grumbled a bit, Deng told his then foreign minister, Wu Xuqian, according to the account. After a second, similarly testy meeting with Mugabe, Deng urged his visitor not to repeat Mao's mistakes by destroying Zimbabwe's economy in the name of ideology. "Comrade Mugabe, please pay special attention to our leftist terrors." Zhang concluded Mugabe had ignored Deng's warning. Had he not done so, Zimbabwe might not have gotten itself into this difficult situation, he reflected. Opinion pieces in China's state-run media this week have also highlighted the economic turmoil Mugabe inflicted on Zimbabwe. The country has turned into a big slum plagued by hunger, one scholar wrote in the Global Times. Anthony said that, for Beijing, embracing life after Mugabe was in many ways a no-brainer. Chinese diplomacy is very practical and very adaptable. It's still going to be ZANU-PF and they have a deep relationship with China, so it's not even that much of a game changer for them. Andrew Nathan, an expert in Chinese foreign policy from Columbia University, agreed Beijing would have no bones in switching allegiance to whoever replaced Mugabe. "I don't think it cares much what comes next. It wants to be on the good side of the regime. They did cooperate with Mugabe, they will cooperate with his successor." Chinese profiles of Mugabe's likely successor, Emerson Mnangagwa, painted him as a reliable, China-friendly figure who had studied Marxism and military engineering in the Middle Kingdom. In past interviews Mnangagwa has repeatedly emphasized that Zimbabwe needs to look east. A report in Shanghai's The Paper said approvingly.